Okay, gentlemen, ladies, corporate heads, management, employees, owners, stock contributors. I'm addressing effectively here the entire aerospace industry. Obviously, that means I'm going to be addressing Elon Musk, Boeing, Northrop, Skunk, everybody. Now, even if you're a smaller person dealing with the space stuff, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff and the way things are going. Before I can get into the intricacy of how FTL, faster than light communication, works, and the orchestration dealing with doing 6-set differential latency problems, respective with FTL, then where you approve sets. You still don't have a perfect communication comp, but you're 6 seconds out. It's a 6-second delay, basically. Now that's if you can respond right with the design system, because you might have to have another 6 seconds. It could be 12 seconds, but that's no distance. That's all the way out to the furthest belt, no problem. So if you got robotics, you're in the furthest belt. You're going to be doing some mining. What you're going to be doing is looking at pre-programmed AI analysis that's going to come up and say, we see the problem is this. You're going to have a lot of multi-screens coming in on how to address the problem. So what you're going to be approving are sets of moves. So this means you're going to have guys, you're going to be sitting down at all the tables, everyone's going to be watching their screens, and everybody's got to give their right lights. So when somebody looks over and sees that condensed series of screens, you better have the right series of lights lighting up in the right corner pocket or wherever it's arranged at. So you're going to be approving sets. Now, before I can get more into this kind of stuff, I want to talk about how we're going to do a massive upgrade to the country. This is the economy. We're going to do a massive upgrade. Now, obviously, people have talked for years about the different problems. China has accelerated. China has made mind-boggling forwardness. That China has used our old original colonial government-sponsored capitalism that goes through that 40-year period when our leaders, basically in the country, we had our republic was a new form of East Indies Company. I've talked about that in other shows and other items and whatnot. It's hard to keep up. I understand some people didn't see me as a priority. Things are changing. Now, so basically, when dealing with all of these mass upgrades, when we're dealing with more than 3,000 major funds that are going to go through new forms of restructuring for a new assessment of what is longevous assets, how do we manage longevous assets, how does this affect the entire manufacturing system. It's very complex. It's very complex, but I'm up to the task of saying, yeah, we can all do this. It's going to work. I've been looking at this for decades. This is going to work. Now, so basically, let me address first homes. I'm going to address the multi-level vestation level. Some people might find it confusing. They probably miss me talking about it's not a caste system. It's all about not discriminating against people who are put into the pot. So obviously indigenous people, American Indians, so forth, etc., more than 150 years ago, put in for the land purchases, Alaska, Louisiana, all the other ones. So jumping forward, that's what it's kind of based off of. So there's going to be 7 major guaranteed wholesale financial backings for home building. Let me explain why this is going to stabilize the entire tech industry. Now, basically, this means that people who are employees, people that are unions, you're going to get way more cookies, way more bonuses, because the 7 deals that I'm talking about don't even cover union rights. So union rights, union negotiation, that's separate. Now, when we're talking about corporations and say, we want to be completion, guarantor, insure agents for this teeny tiny cut, like basically developers do. have done with working with completion loan guarantor bond companies. Well, this means that the companies and corporations can do some of this. Now, this can change significantly negotiations respective to labor concerns, because we want to protect the supply chains, and sometimes maybe there's a problem with being able to give people raises. That doesn't mean you can't sit down and do a different type of a creative deal. Now, guaranteeing everybody a new situation for a new guaranteed wholesale-ish loan where there's a for-profit option that could be harmonious, that can be negotiated with. That's up on the table. That can be negotiated with. This is an easy thing to do. Now, so if you're going to guarantee another field and area of guaranteeing hard assets for employees, for union members, for management, whatnot, there are different levels. They can be talked about. They can be negotiated for. On the whole, on the brushstroke, it's childishly easy. I've looked at this stuff for decades. It's childishly easy. So what we're going to do is I want to rapidly, for the first 3 years of my presidency, move into mass solidification. Mass solidification of the average citizen. And we're addressing levels of who's owed money. So before I quickly throw off the table for not working with reparations, I'm going to address it for 22 seconds. Basically, everybody got ripped off on land deals, okay? India, everybody, okay? So I'm just going to shelf it and say, look, I'm looking at everybody on the whole, okay? So that having been said, it's on the shelf. It can be looked at later. Now, basically, since everybody's been ripped off, everybody has, almost everybody, you know, it used to be 5 out of 6 or people had lineage that went back 150 years or more. So virtually everybody has mass vestation, multiple vestations. Single citizenship, one vestation. Now, so basically, what we're going to do with is this is going to guarantee mass solidification. It's going to add solidity to everybody. You know, so that means that we're going to have people are going to have more money to invest, not only in creative industries, but in tech industries. Lots and lots of money to invest in tech, and we have lots and lots of new creative combinations of solid investment enhancement that can be used as carrots and cherries. So this means that we don't necessarily have to raise wages. What we have to do is add creative concepts into this, because I am very much concerned about supply chains and securing that supply chains are going to be consistent. I'm deeply concerned about that. So I'm completely open on that. I want to have consistency with keeping the supply chains of everything working. So that having been said, once you look at the material later on, you'll understand how much I'm making everybody solid and how much everybody's going to be working. You know, basically what I end up creating here is similar to what we had in World War II in some ways, from the standpoint economically, that we're going to have a negative 33% unemployment. That's the formula that roughly things keep coming up as when I'm running it through and having AI looking at stuff. That's what we're going to end up with, basically, is a negative 33% unemployment. Obviously, people recognize that. That's people are going to work extra hours, whatnot, so forth, etc. But that's building their own assets. That's vacation property. That's your primary home, your secondary home, your experimental, let's have fun home, etc., stuff like that. So into this is also wrapped up the creativity to understand that creative people, industry people, tech people, you want to have goodies. So built into this are various creative packages. 30-year loan of longevous assets. This means equipment. You want drill presses, woodworking machinery, whatever. 30-year. We're wrapping that into 30-year. This is going to boost equipment sales. This is going to dramatically change financing options. This is also going to add incredible capabilities to people at an individual level, whether they have extra time, whether they're going to employ somebody part-time to drill holes, use that drill house, give me some holes, like World War II. You know, there's going to be no idle machine if somebody does not want it to be idle. Now, we have other options. Now, mass robotics, I've addressed this. Now, people thought I was crazy. Now, after 2 decades of working with different AI design situations, when I say that we can easily look at increasing creative robotics by more than 200 million units, I'm very serious about this. Obviously, this is going to be a lot of work. We're going to have to sit down. There's going to be a lot to this. But hey, I'm putting stuff out on the web. I'm showing people, look, you're going to be able to buy a robot, and when you're at work, it can build you a nice brick barbecue. Okay, I think that's real. I think it can do everything. Obviously, we know things can do a lot more. And the longevous part of building robots that are serviceable, and many of the parts are going to be interchangeable. Many designs now will be recognized as interchangeable for 100, maybe even 1,000 years. So if we're going to talk about getting mass efficiency going, mass productivity going, re-solidifying people who are vested stockholders, that means we got to reissue this, the national stock. National stock is different. So I'm trying to get everybody on board with, we're reactivating the sections and the deals that people can barely find the fragments to understand how our republic is a new version of an East Indies company. But we run everything completely different. We're very ethical, so forth. So that means citizens are going to have stock. That means citizens are going to have to manage their funds differently. Now, Social Security, real quick, first 100 million people put in $1, that's $100 million. We all know $100 million will buy you the best investment advice, bar none. I don't have to sit here and do a 3-lock box and say, yeah, we're going to borrow money against our Wally World stock. We're going to put it in a 3-lock box. We're going to borrow money independently and proceed to do this endlessly and show people how to take $100,000 and turn it into $60 million in 2.5 years. So the 3-lock box stuff is very real. Donald definitely wasn't passing any of that kind of shit out. But the thing is people are going to realize this kind of stuff, Yeah, there's stocks out there that can make 160 a year. But hey, what I want to work on is new hard asset generation. I want to work on both the long-term understanding and the short-term understanding, how we can do mass stimulation. So Social Security is an additional fund. I'm going to force it to be recognized as the largest, again, the most longevous fund. This fund is solid. We're always going to address it. And since it's solid, it can be used as an insurance guarantor agent. That means 2 to 5% of loan generation guarantee on another housing project guarantees the entire project. This is aside completely different than the other vestitions and other negotiation processes that I've already suggested. This is brand new standalone. It's a brand new deal, and bankability for construction once again comes into play. In fact, it comes into play for multiple times. It's good for use up to 5. Now, I don't want to hear about a bunch of people talking about flooding the homing market to the point where the bottom drops out. We all know that's really not going to happen. And people want to get creative. People want buildings for other things. They want to build their little boat, their plane on the side, whatever the project is. And they want to invest. They want to learn more, So, and people are going to have a lot more to do because I'm going to force the 5 computer situation down the throat. We got 1.4 billion attacks a day coming in. Now, the entire backdoor system, we should be honest about this, is there because we wanted it there. Brilliant plan at first, but we knew it was dated and it was going to fail. So, all of this being said, we're talking about the base structure economics that are now going to come into play. We're going to be able to do things with the companies at brand new levels. All you guys are going to be able to do things at a new fantastic level. This means long-term commitments, and we can talk about mass deals on scales never before attempted. So over the course of 3 years, we will be able to hopefully implement. I'm hoping maybe we can begin the process by the end of the first year. But definitely we got to have something coming in the 3rd year of my administration, respective to the new mass investment program. This means basically if we start looking at long-term investment for space mining to recover minerals, okay, gold's there, yeah, we know that's there. Size of Texas, yeah, okay, fine. So basically, in the FTL, faster line communication, I got that. That's a done deal. That's going to be there. So we're going to have to look at, now we're going to be able to have to figure out all of these millions, tens of millions, billions of parts that we're going to have to make all these different systems work. And they're mega. They're mega. So now we need to talk about the understanding of where do we work the long-term financing situation. We have to start talking and thinking more than just a 30-year mortgage type situation. We need to sit down and discuss the 100-year mortgage situation. We need to discuss the whatever stopgap, remanagement, move to back end, let's reschedule, whatever the complexities are, is we're going to have to deal with this, because then we're going to make it attractive so that we can go to people and say, look, you get stock, you come up and give us money, we'll give you stock, we'll take the money, we'll further the projects, you're getting part of the ownership of the copyrights, part of the ownership of the patents. But we're going to work our industries. We're going to do this. Our industries are going to use the money. We get to handle the money. We're going to work with the tech. Okay? We're going to bring these solutions. We are going to bring the most massive effort together for mass space mining programs. And we can do this by having a longevity backdoor cross multi insurance completion guarantee. If we look at things on a 100-year program, that means we can ask people, can we get you to, in theory, agree that 5% of your Social Security could be invested? You get stock. So, in other words, the agreement can be yes, and yes on a mass scale. If that's the answer, that justifies a wholesale loan. So a national wholesale loan technology boost situation, we're talking about the ability to sit down and discuss what we're going to do with trillions of dollars. Now, I hope people in the space industry are ready for these arguments, because I'm very serious about this, on how to make it work. And the solidity factor is the whole thing that gets the ball rolling. So if we talk about that loan being wholesale, the theory is you're not even necessarily having a dime or a penny come out of Social Security, but it's a signed agreement. In other words, you've got a guarantor factor where you have a signature that says yes, mass signatures actually. So that means we get to work with the wholesale loan, we get to work with a graduated payment, a rescheduling system, respective to these different types of wholesale loans. We get to work with segment rescheduling, place to back in with the differential understanding cost. But again, we're talking about wholesale loans. This gives us the ability to work with more of this tech. It gives us other options to be able to have other types of marketing respective to the tech. Now, granted, the thing is, there has to be an understanding of how these percentages get cut up, what the reality of this can be, and as you issue this specialized stock, where it all goes. How is this going to be dispersed out? What are the percentages that can be real? So I realize that I just put a big headache on the table, but I'm saying this is all doable, and we can get through this, and we can start talking about what we're going to maybe do with the first $1 trillion commitment towards the first 100 years of mass space mineral mining. So now I hope you've already been up to speed on some of my other stuff, because if you still got that thing in your head, you're wondering, what about the Trump factor? What about the Harris factor? Well, they're going to prison. Those people can't hold a security clearance. Okay? In a nutshell, there's a long list of things you can't do, and you certainly can't attack archives and violate national security and keep a security clearance. And you can't run for office if you can't get a security clearance. They're done. They're over with. So these projects have to move forward. So I'm very committed to moving forward and bringing success to everybody's life and to everybody's business, because we can do this. I got a call coming in. I want to thank all of you people for your time, and I look forward to fielding questions and customizing for the next addressing. Thank you. Michael Crosby for Potus 2024.